Going on, Chicago Tough Sports fans? It's Anthony and Paul the Hitman,
Yo.
and we are here doing our weekly wrestling show. Tonight's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about the NXT pay-per-view in your house. And I want to apologize. Last night we were going to do it, and then I unplugged my computer for some reason. So that's why I know we usually do these right after the pay-per-view is over, but after that, I was just pissed. I just wasn't into it. So.
It's all good.
It's
all good.
All right. So, and I want to apologize too for whoever's watching. I have the White Sox game on the side, so if I start screaming or cheering or something, that's why. So, important week for the Sox. So. Well, anyways,
absolutely.
Back to the topic. We're going to talk about what we felt was the match of the night, and then our least favorite match of the night.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about a little side subject later on.
Oh yeah.
All right, take it away, man. You first.
Yeah. So I thought the match of the night was the Fatal Five Way. As I mentioned last night, I thought that match stole the show in terms of the storyline that it played out. With the competitors involved. I thought that there was a lot of nuance within that match between at times the Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly coming back together, to form an alliance, so to speak, during the match, but also going back to their feuding ways. There was a lot of different kind of styles within that match that I thoroughly enjoyed. I mean, you had the quick pace of Cole. You had the submission ability of Dunn. You had the kind of combination of both those things with O'Reilly and Gargano. I mentioned last night that the presence of Karrion Kross wasn't necessarily needed in the match, because I thought that they just had a nice fatal four-way within themselves.
Yeah.
But after thinking about it more and more, he was needed. And I heard something today that I thought was pretty interesting regarding having Karrion Kross within the match.
Yeah.
And this goes back to what we did last week when we had our little geek out moment talking about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Hi, Amy. And then she just walked past. But,
no fucks were given right now.
Right. But I'll compare, or at least somebody compared, and I actually agree with this, Karrion Kross of Thanos in a way, and the other four were the Avengers. You had this huge guy that was trying to take over the industry, but you had all these four little guys trying to chop it down, and it told a great story in a way that eventually the bad guy sometimes wins.
Yeah.
And that's what I enjoyed about it. There were some things within, the double submission that Dunn put on, trying to break the fingers. You had, some other good spots within the match. I think, Gargano had a good spot. Nothing, what's his name? Karrion Kross going through the door. I mentioned last night that I thought that, it probably would have been a better spot if he went through the glass. But if you're going to go through the glass, you're going to have some blood, and I don't think they're doing bloody right now. So,
no.
But I think overall that particular match was probably my favorite. If that fatal five-way didn't happen, I really enjoyed the opening bout. Opening bout was very good too. I'm starting to become a big fan of Bronson Reed.
MSK.
Hey, you wearing your Karrion Kross shirt?
Yes, I am. And it's ironic because I'm gonna talk shit about him later. Okay, so you were saying you also enjoyed the opening bout.
Yeah, I enjoyed the opening bout. I'm a huge fan of Bronson Reed, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm starting to become a big fan of Santos Escobar.
Okay.
Um, that dude is good, man. He has the look, he has the charisma. Um, you know, he can sell in the ring, he can do some moves. You know, that dude, that dude might be NXT champion one day.
I could see that. I could see that. Okay. What was your least favorite? Like, what match were
Oh,
you
my
like,
least.
this is just stupid?
Oh well, I mean, my least favorite match of the night was the Xia Li and the Rebecca Martinez match. I'm sorry,
Mercedes.
yeah, Mercedes Martinez match. Excuse me. Yeah, I like their match when they were at the Mae Young Classic. I like that match better. For some strange reason, they didn't gel within this match.
Okay.
Um,
It almost
I
felt like they didn't want to be there when I was
see.
watching.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't know about that part, but it just seems like nothing really,
No.
like, it didn't gel, it didn't make sense, and I'm Mercedes Martinez is supposed to be this badass, and then all of a sudden she's being taken out at the ribs, and it seemed like Jaya Lee was in control for most of that match, which I didn't really understand.
Yeah.
So that was probably my least favorite match.
Okay. All right. Well, my favorite match was the opening. Was the opening match.
Mhm.
I want to say right now, my favorite wrestler, well, wrestlers, it has to be MSK right now. They're just good.
Yeah.
They're energetic. They work well together. They work well with whoever they're going up against in the ring. Um, High flyers. They're fast. They're just off. They're just cool. I like their gimmick, their entrance, their wrestling, their promos they cut, their mic shield. Everything is just good about MSK.
Yeah, the best tag team within the WWE right now, and
Yes,
that includes Raw, SmackDown, and
absolutely. And Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed has to be the reason why I decided to take the deep dive into NXT. The first time I saw Bronson Reed and his whole entrance thing, it was just, I just like that kind of stuff. That
yeah.
it's hard for me to explain. It just attracted me to NXT. Oh, geez, sorry, it's a cat. Say hello.
Whoa.
That was a three-legged cat.
Oh, yeah,
Anyways,
that's right.
yeah. Anyways, what was I saying? Bronson Reed. He's the reason that I love NXT so much. I really enjoyed them all working together too. I want them to find a way to team those three up and keep them together, because MSK being little tiny guys and Bronson Reed being this huge giant monster, they worked so good together, and it just worked. It wasn't like something weird, like three obvious guys put together and they just don't work together. Just like thrown together. It seemed like they were studied and they really made sure that this match would work.
Yeah.
Legado del Fantasma, Legend of the Ghost.
Yeah.
I'm starting to come around with Escobar. I wasn't a fan of his. I did take a step back because of his extremely small, tight shorts that he had on yesterday. I swear to God, I thought we were going to get a nut shot on TV last night. That made me take a step back. But all in all, I'm starting to become a fan of Escobar. But right now, like I said, I'm all about MSK. If their shirts weren't like a super neon green and purple, I would probably wear one.
Oh, you should wear one anyway.
I know, it's just green on me. It just doesn't look great.
No, you should get one anyway.
Yeah, right. Seeing it like a flag.
Yeah.
My most disappointing match, I agree with you, was that second bout. That made no sense. It's lazy wrestling. I like Mercedes' entrance. I think that's cool. It's just last night, she just didn't perform well. And Xia Li, we did a video a while ago. I think I said she was one of my favorite female wrestlers throughout all of pro wrestling. I've kind of fallen off of that whole sword thing with her and how she's just daintily swinging it around. That doesn't make sense. And then all the unnecessary crap that happened once the match was over. It was just bad. It was boring. It drug on too much.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. I didn't necessarily like that part. Maybe it's to set up something between who's the main one. Forgets my.
Oh, the one that sits in the chair.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's just I don't know her name because she's just not interesting.
Yeah, I actually had her name written down, but unfortunately, it's on my phone,
Okay.
and I have to use my phone for the video. But maybe it's something that's being set up to where it's her and Mercedes at another pay-per-view and kind of go from there. But I wasn't a huge fan. I wasn't a huge fan of the chair shots. The chair shots looked bad.
Yeah.
I just wasn't a huge fan of that entire segment between the match and the after and the stuff after the match. The entrances were pretty cool. I actually liked Lee's entrance because it kind of had a Mortal Kombat feel to it in a way.
Yeah, everyone on Twitter was bashing her, saying, "Quit trying to be Chun-Li from Street Fighter."
Well, I actually thought it was like a little more Mortal Kombat. I can see the Street Fighter element into it, but Mercedes Martinez entrance is pretty awesome. I just don't know where they're going with that, and like I said, I actually would have rather have seen the tag team match that they had on the pre-show, as opposed to that women's match.
Yeah, that match just didn't seem like a pay-per-view match. Like it didn't. It felt like a lazy Raw match. Something that would be on today's Monday Night Raw. Just something lazy, something thrown together real quick. And
it actually looked like something that would have been on Raw because that's the kind of stuff that Raw would have pulled out.
Yeah. Okay, now I want to get on to. I did what I thought was match of the night. My least favorite. I want to talk about, in my opinion, the most disappointing match, which was your match of the night.
Okay.
805 way.
Okay.
I'm obviously a Karrion Kross fan.
Yes.
I'm starting to fall back from that. You say it didn't need him as much. I feel it did. The dude, even before the ring, the dude never wrestled. He was one of those rare commodities that would come out in the ring and actually have a match. Now, I don't know in NXT if they have more creative freedom or if it's the same thing as Raw and SmackDown. But they need to start using him more. The other four, great match. I'm not a Kyle O'Reilly fan, but great. He did great. Pete Dunne, who I expected to win. I told you through a text, I secretly want Pete Dunne to win because I think he would be a more active champion than Karrion Kross.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Cole, every week my fandom grows for Adam Cole. And then Johnny Gargano. I watched him last night. That dude can wrestle.
Who, Gargano?
Yes.
Yes.
I've never actually sat and paid attention, but that match kind of forced you to pay attention to everybody. It really forced you. And it helps too with this, how they're streaming the pay-per-views now. They don't have rewind feature or pause or anything. So you have to like sit down and really watch all these wrestling matches. Karrion Kross was basically non-existent in that match. And when he was in the ring, it started off, he was wiping everyone out in for maybe 5 minutes, and then he's thrown out of the ring, and then he pops back in, thrown out of the ring, he's gone, and then he comes back. When he's in the ring, it's the same crap. Yell, suplex, or some kind of body drop, and repeat. That's it. That's all this guy does. I got into a little, I don't know, debate, I guess, with someone on Twitter today. It started, I commented on the Busted Open Twitter page with Dave LaGreca. And he said, what did he say? I got it right here. Now, this was what Dave LaGreca said on Twitter. Karrion Kross is awesome. Can't wait to talk about the main event. And I responded to him, yes, his gimmick is very awesome in ring. His gimmick is very awesome. In ring, he's kind of boring. And I like what you said. And I used what you said. He's the poor man's Brock Lesnar. Yell, flex, suplex, repeat. I'm a fan of his, but he needs to have more variety in the ring. And P.S. Scarlett is smoking hot. There's this one dude on there, and his handle is the debate guy. It just, the dude's like really butthurt about what I said. He's praising Karrion Kross, and what I said, I told him not every guy. He said something like, "So big guys need to be high flyers." I said, "No, Karrion Kross doesn't need to be a high flyer. He just needs to be good at his craft, and he needs to have variety in the ring." And I'm telling people, besides the suplex, some kind of body drop, and there was something else I said. I think a clothesline or something. Name me three other moves that Karrion Kross does. And he pretty much, the big boot, which is a kick, which every wrestler does. Roundhouse kick, every wrestler does. DDT, every wrestler does. Exploder suplex, I said he does suplex. And reverse clothesline, I said he does a clothesline. The dude has there's no originality in Karrion Kross in his in-ring performance. He's stale, man. Yeah, he's my guy. He's one of my favorites, but they need to give that belt to someone who's more active. And that's why I wanted Pete Dunne to win that match last night. I was pulling for Pete Dunne. I thought he was going to win, and then again, Kross is gone. And then he comes in and he wins by tap out. He didn't even use one of his 3 stale moves. Who was Kyle O'Reilly, right? Yeah. Kyle O'Reilly had, who did he have in the heel hook? He had Adam Cole, I think. I think he had Cole in the heel hook, and then Kross comes out of nowhere and gives him like some kind of crossface. And Kyle O'Reilly, he didn't even tap out. The ref lifted his arm and he went limp. And the ref called the match. A performer like Karrion Kross with that gimmick he has, he should not be winning matches like that. That just felt like Vince McMahon. That had Vince McMahon, yeah, let's use that all over. That didn't feel like the usual Triple H running the show. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It felt really lazy, and I was very disappointed. Even though he won, that's not how he should have won. All the hype they gave that match, and all the little scuffles they would get into on NXT leading up to that pay-per-view, and that's how you end it, by Kyle O'Reilly's arm going limp and the referee calling the match. He didn't even do the stupid thing where he's in the corner, he's swinging his arm, says time's up, and he hits you with his forearm. He didn't even do that at all. So that match was extremely disappointing for me. I expected so much more. I wanted that to be my match of the night. Like, I wanted it to be better than the MSK Bronson Reed versus Legato match. But it just wasn't. As soon as Karrion Kross started disappearing for minutes at a time, it lost me. It lost me. I knew it was going to have a terrible ending. I don't know. Give me your thoughts on that.
All right, so I guess I have a few things. Number one, how would you prefer that match to end?
By him power slamming people through the ring, by him, he's supposed to be this big, violent beast. Do something other than. Can you even call it a submission? Because O'Reilly didn't even tap out; his arm went. So did he really beat anyone? Anything but that. A kick, a number of suplexes, spine buster. There could have been. There's a number of ways that match could have ended. Damn it! Tampa Bay just hit a home run off Crochet. So, anyways, sorry. Back to wrestling.
Well, here's my thought on that. Number one, the ending of the match. Well, how can I put this? The press conference that there was, basically, Karrion Kross said the only person he was really worried about was Kyle O'Reilly because he's hungry.
Yeah.
So did Kyle O'Reilly lose? Yeah, but did he didn't get pinned. He didn't submit. He passed out, which in essence still protects him. Mm-hmm. So everyone in that match was protected. So the ending of the match doesn't necessarily bother me. What I will say is that you're right. He should be this beast, but at times the beast gets weakened. And Karrion Kross took some chops last night. He got his ass kicked last night by.
And that's interesting you say that, because every time he is in the ring wrestling, he gets his ass kicked. They have him just have his ass handed to him. I don't understand that. I mean, going back to Brock Lesnar, that never happened to Brock Lesnar.
That's not true. That's not true. One of the things that Brock, not every match, but there was matches where Brock would literally, sell because it was good for business.
Yeah.
Brock had no problem with selling and getting his ass kicked. Dude, when he was wrestling Samoa Joe or during that feud, there were times when Samoa Joe got the best of Brock.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I'm saying every time Kross is in the ring, he's supposed to be this big, crazy maniac, but yet every time they have him get his ass beat. Every single time he's in the ring.
But that's going to happen within a fight. A beast is going to take some lumps. But the reason why I compared Lesnar to Kross is because at any point they can pull out a move and it'd be over, and that's what happened last night.
Yeah.
That's in essence what happened last night. As I was in agreement with you before, where I thought that Karrion Kross needed to do more, and then I started thinking about it more and more. Maybe for Karrion Kross, less is more, because all he has to do is go out to the ring. He's got a great entrance. He's got the eye candy. You say he does, 3 or 4 moves. Maybe that's all he needs to do.
Yeah.
That's especially against guys who are smaller than him. He doesn't need to do anything else but that. Now, if you look at his match with Bronson Reed, he had to do more stuff because Bronson Reed was bigger than him.
Yeah.
but when you're wrestling four other guys that are smaller than you, yeah, all you had to do was throw them around, and that's the same stuff that Brock does. The match that Brock had with John Cena in SummerSlam, I want to say like, no, I want to say SummerSlam of like maybe 9 years ago, was one of the best matches ever told. And all Brock did was 3 F5s and 18 German suplexes.
Oh, is that when he said "Welcome to Suplex City, bitch"?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was 9 years ago. Huh?
Yeah. One of the best matches he ever had. Best story ever. Best story Brock ever told.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that was
that's all.
match.
And that's all that Karrion Kross needs to do. Now, is come out, do his suplexes need to be better? Yeah, man, yeah, possibly. But all he has to do is show some power and sell. That's all he has to do.
There you go. That's the key word. He has to sell it. Go back and rewatch the times he was in the ring last night. Who do you have in the corner? I think it was Kyle O'Reilly. He had in the corner. He gave him a kick. You could tell he was pulling the kick, so he wouldn't actually hurt him. Good wrestlers sell that shit, dude. You know, Shawn Michaels sold that. Lesnar sells it. Good wrestlers sell. Finn Balor sells that shit. You could tell that he was pulling back every time he was in the ring. I mean, punches, clotheslines, kicks. That he was afraid to hurt somebody.
Well, and that could be, and that comes with more time in the ring and stuff like that, because that's a lot of that stuff is if you're powerful and sometimes when you get a little angry, and you might want to tear somebody up and you can't really do that because it's technically not a real fight.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe he needs more formidable components or opponents.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, it's the problem, and this is why I'm happy that they did it the way they did, because he basically beat the top four guys on.
Oh yeah.
And now let's see what formidable opponent comes up to where he has to be matched with, or he has to be matched with power and things like that. That's why for me, if a guy like Samoa Joe were to actually wrestle, that would be good. Or hell, there's even talk of Aleister Black, something like that. But if
he's kind of a big dude, right?
Yeah, and like I said, I'll go back to the whole thing with Lesnar. Lesnar, when he first came up, Lesnar was all about hip tosses, stuff like that, shooting star presses, stuff like that. And then next thing you know, Lesnar was like, you know what? All I got to do is 3 moves, maybe 4. I can give you a couple of Germans, an F5, a Kimura lock, and and basically tell you I'm taking you to suplex it.
Yeah.
That's what I think, and I'm wondering if it's basically Triple H, Shawn Michaels, whomever is booking NXT, telling him, hey, stick with these moves. This is what work. Just refine them every time you get in the ring.
I don't know. It's just maybe I expect too much out of the guy. I just like him a lot. I just want to.
No, that's fine. He's a stud. I mean, I enjoy him. I mean, I was actually looking at a match between him and Brian Cage when they were in Impact Wrestling.
Okay.
Same moveset, things like that. But there was a little bit more power.
Yeah.
Or let's go back. I'll keep using Brock as an example. Let's go back and look at Brock versus Strowman, right?
Okay.
Okay, that was another time where I actually thought that Brock was going to get manhandled just because the sheer size of Strowman. And just like you said, maybe Cross needs someone who is 6'5", 6'7", 6'8", over 300 pounds to go with him. in order for him to actually feel threat.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see him climb the rope, do something off the ropes. I know he has the athletic ability to do it.
Sure, I mean, maybe that's just not his game. I mean, he's not. Maybe he's not. High flyer is not a good term because no, that's no. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's more like Triple H in the fact that his arsenal doesn't include going up to the top rope. Maybe he can go up to the second rope and do an elbow or a knee, something like that.
Yeah.
But maybe they're telling him, hey, ground and pound, be a monster, be a guy that that's a beast in a way. I can see them doing that. But no, I look. There's nothing in wanting more out of your favorite wrestler. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that.
I'm sticking in there, man, but it's hard.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I just think that just take the mindset of less is more. And sometimes you don't need the other stuff to go with it. But if you can do those moves, well, and you can sell and tell a good story, because I'm gonna be honest with you, he did tell a great story last night. He did tell a great story.
I enjoy the whole story. I enjoy everything about him. His mics, his promos, everything. It's just when he gets in the ring, it's just like it just feels stale, man. It's
probably getting a little stiff. Yeah.
There's so much potential and it's not being used. He's not being used properly.
Well, and a lot of that stuff, think of it this way. You said that you want to see him wrestle, right? Because you want to see him wrestle, right?
Yeah.
More often than this is going to go against everything that I believe. But right now, and actually, I think Triple H thinks is the way they've been booking this. You're not going to get your champion to wrestle every single
week. Yeah.
If the champion is going to wrestle, it has to mean something.
Yeah.
And that goes back to Brock, because Brock wasn't wrestling every single week. You can have him on the show, do run-ins, whatever, but you're not going to get him to actually wrestle every single week.
And that's just a personal thing with me.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. But another way that he could wrestle every single week is once NXT starts going back on the road.
True.
You probably won't see him wrestle every single NXT, on Tuesday, excuse me. But when they go back on the road for house shows, he'll probably wrestle then. Because at that point,
no, go on.
I would say at that point, everybody be looking for those reps.
Yeah, for some reason, I thought Finn Balor was going to show up and disrupt that match. I was saying there's not going to be a winner tonight. Finn Balor he's gonna pop up and do something.
Hey, I honestly, I was hoping that Cross would have won and Samoa Joe and AOP shows up.
Okay. AOP.
And and go from there. But they didn't. But the good news is that that they're making us tune in tomorrow night.
Yeah, right.
Because of how they left the show. There was one thing last night about the show that bothered me. And this is not just an NXT thing. This is a professional wrestling thing. I hate the prostitution of moves.
Of who?
The prostitution of moves. When basically, I hate the fact that there's about 50 super kicks a night.
I love super kicks. I don't know what it is. I just like super kicks. Well, my favorite wrestler is Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, but the super kick should mean something. The super kick is a finishing move that now you got tag teams doing it just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Like I love the Usos, but they do it. But the super kick, it should mean something. So you mean to tell me there's something special within Shawn Michaels' foot that when he does it, it's a 1, 2, 3? as opposed to when everyone else. It's kind of like, when Hogan does a leg drop. I'm supposed to believe that Hogan has this bionic leg drop and he beats everybody. Then when someone else does it, they kick out at one.
Yeah.
That's what I mean when I'm talking about the prostitution of moves. I mean, it's everyone is doing a super kick, like the DDT. The DDT with Jake the Snake Roberts, special move.
Yep.
Special move. Now everyone's doing a DDT.
Yeah. Not Karrion Kross.
No.
Kross isn't doing super kicks.
No. I will say this though. I do think they made the right decision to have LA Knight win the $1 title.
Oh, are we going to talk about that?
We can. I actually enjoyed that match. I enjoyed that match.
That wasn't the worst match. That wasn't the best match. That was the dumbest match of the night.
Okay. How was it dumb?
Those two are not ladder match material. Cameron Grimes, I somewhat like his wrestling. I can't stand that gimmick. And LA Knight, he's just fucking annoying. I don't like him.
Good.
I don't like him.
Good.
And then maybe I would have enjoyed it if it wasn't a ladder match, but ladder matches are for high flyers. Example, the Hardy Boys. MSK.
Matt Hardy wasn't really high. Matt Hardy wasn't really a high flyer.
But he sold a ladder match. He sold ladder matches.
You remember who else was in those ladder matches?
Huh?
The Dudley Boys. They're not ladder match material.
The Dudley Boys were ladder match material.
No, they wasn't.
They did some shit.
Oh, but by your logic, you want high flyers.
Okay. I take that back. Not high flyer. Not high flyers. It takes a certain. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for if it's not high flyer? Fuck it. I'll just say it takes a certain kind of wrestler, and Cameron Grimes and LA Knight are not that type of wrestler.
So what's the difference between those two and Razor Ramon?
They're just not good. LA Knight is not good.
LA Knight is damn good.
They're just so stiff. I mean, okay, the end where he pushed the ladder over and Cameron Grimes slammed onto the ladder. Okay, that was cool. Cameron Grimes jumped he climbed that scaffolding thing. What was he, 10 feet in the air? That was okay. Knight could have sold that a little better. I would have enjoyed that match if it was a different kind of match. Which brings me to also say NXT needs to start incorporating different kinds of matches. Like more cage match pay-per-views, more. Sure. It's just, you can't just throw ladders in the ring and throw any wrestler you want. It has to work. It's they say this is like an art form, right?
Yeah.
Certain artists do certain kind of art. And Cameron Grimes and LA Knight, when Ted DiBiase said you have to climb the ladder, I said, oh, no, these two are not going to be good in a ladder match. To me, they weren't. Cameron Grimes, like I said, I'm not a big fan of his. He oohs and ahs me once in a while. And LA Knight, I just could never get into him. It kind of seems like he's ripping off of Britt Baker a little bit, where he goes to LA Knight thing with his hand. And again, no special moves, nothing special. I just didn't like the ladder match. Maybe they should have did something else. Maybe I would have enjoyed it.
No, look,
and I'm used to Jeff and Matt, the Dudleys. What was Edge and Christian's little team? What the hell were they called?
Edge and Christian.
They didn't have
that was their name.
Okay. I'm used to that. Like they worked with the ladder. It's like they were bred for ladder matches.
Yeah, but you know why that happens? Because they had a chance to, work on things and stuff like that. I mean, they've had time to kind of go over the match. They had 3 TLCs. where each one. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I would probably say the second one is probably my favorite one. But I mean, they had three of those to where they worked on. Actually, they had four TLCs. There was one on Raw and SmackDown that no one ever talks about. But no, I get it, But like I said, I personally enjoyed the match. I like LA Knight. I've been a big fan of his since he was on The Rock's reality show back in the day.
Okay.
I followed his career where he was over in Impact Wrestling, and I think he's good. He's good on the mic. He's got a good look. His moveset's it's good, But I think last night was more so about the $1 Million Man giving the rub to LA Knight as opposed to the ladder match. Now, to your point of they should do more gimmicky matches, sure. I want to see them do war games again.
Yeah.
I love that format. I want to see them, they can't really, I don't know if they could bring the Hell in a Cell format down to NXT, but maybe they do more, gimmicky type matches.
They would need a bigger building to do a Hell in a Cell, right?
Yeah. I mean, and but I know Triple H has talked about finding another spark, and because especially now that fans are coming back into the arenas, they had 350 people last night.
Yeah.
At the which is their largest crowd since the pandemic.
Yeah.
But it's it is what it is. I don't know about you. Did you get the feeling that the crowd wasn't really that much into the pay-per-view?
The crowd seemed piped. That crowd noise, it seemed piped in a little bit. I mean, you researched obviously how many people were there, but the level of crowd noise, it didn't match what I saw visually, the amount of people that were there.
Okay.
There was one specific time. Damn it, what was it? There was a cheer going on, and I kind of noticed, like, I looking at the TV screen, the left side, like no one was moving. Everyone was just kind of sitting there, and it just sounded like the whole building was erupting.
But you know what's funny about that is that there was parts of that show where I actually thought the crowd was fake.
Yeah.
And because just like you said, they weren't moving, and it just seems like there was a bunch of cardboard cutouts. But I know there were people because you actually see it. There were actually people with masks and stuff like that. I'm also wondering too if, because this was brought up that they're at another facility as opposed to where they generally are for when like pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
And that show is usually filled with college kids. So maybe because it's a different crowd that you're not going to get the the rowdy atmosphere that you normally would get at an NXT show.
Not real, like the people in the crowds weren't like actual wrestling fans. Like here's some free tickets. Here's some free tickets. Come watch us.
Exactly.
We have beer.
Exactly.
Come see us.
Right. Exactly. As opposed to like the demographic that every corporate executive wants, which is that those 18 to those 18-year-olds.
Yeah. The crowd noise seemed fake. It didn't. There was just too much crowd noise for the amount of people that were there. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that they go back to. I'm hoping that they go back to the place that they were before, and that's just because that place, like I said, just had a different atmosphere. Like it seems like this one is a little bit more corporate-y.
Yeah.
As opposed to like where they were before, where it was like, I don't know. The best way I can compare it is like you go to a concert and one is like one's Mozart and the other one's Korn.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. like one is like we're gonna clap like this, give you a golf clap.
Yeah.
And the other one you're doing having a mosh pit.
Yeah. Stomping on the floor.
Yeah, yeah.
Last night was the first time I ever kind of like cringed at NXT. Like, ooh, it's kind of
No,
bad.
I mean, look, well, it wasn't great.
No.
It wasn't a great show. It was decent.
Yeah.
I mean, I was happy that it was a little under 3 hours.
Yeah, not very nice.
Like
I
it
like
went
the
by
amount.
pretty quick.
Yeah, it did. What, 6
Like,
matches?
You know, well, six if you include like the pre-show, but I mean, technically it was 5 matches.
Yeah.
I mean, I stuff like that. I'm just kind of like, all right, cool, because it's quick.
Well, that's all I got. I don't know if you want to talk about anything else.
No, I'm good. I'm gonna try and sit through Raw.
Yeah, I'll start that in the morning.
I'm gonna try and I'm gonna see if I can sit through it and not throw up.
Next Sunday, Hell in a Cell, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see how good that goes.
I told you my theory behind that one. We might have to do a show like later in the week because that's Father's Day and I might be drunk.
Yeah, I mean we could do something after the paper,
So,
as long as it doesn't end at 11 o'clock at night.
no, actually, what's good is that they're talking about their pay-per-views being 3 hours.
Okay, I'll take that.
That's a good spot for it. 3 hours and just kind of go from there. I mean, I guess the next stuff we could just talk about the stuff that we're reading and just kind of go from there.
All right. Well, until next time.
Yep.
Let's hope for some good wrestling.
That'll be good.
All right. Peace.
Cool. Yep.